We move along now, and we welcome in an old friend of the show, the former UFC heavyweight champion who meets Andrei Arlovski for the fourth time next weekend, ONE FC number 5. It takes place in Manila, Philippines. He is Big Tim Sylvia, and he joins us right now on the MMA Hour. Tim, how are you?
Not bad. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. It's good to have you back on the show. A lot to talk to you about. Before we get into the Andrei Arlovski fight, the fourth fight against Andrei Arlovski, let's clear up the Strikeforce stuff. What exactly happened? Why aren't you fighting Daniel Cormier?
I don't know. I think the UFC might have got ahead of themselves, and they really couldn't find anybody to fight Cormier, so they had asked us, and we agreed to it. And I think after we agreed to it, they was able to talk Frank into doing it, and they just probably thought Frank was a better fit for it than myself. I think they'd like to see Daniel win, and I think he beats Frank, but he'd lose to me.
So you think that they went with Frank because he's an easier fight for Daniel than you would have been?
I don't know if he's an easier fight. I just think, he's still in the limelight. He's in the UFC. Frank's definitely better on the ground than I am. But I think my takedown defense and my striking ability would make a tough fight for DC, definitely. But he's definitely a rising star right now, and he'd be difficult for anybody, really.
So what exactly happened, though? Because it seemed like, and from what I heard, you had received the contract. Everyone thought that you were going to fight Daniel Cormier. And then it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dana White wasn't a fan of this idea and he pulled the plug on it. Is that what you are hearing? Is that what happened?
I really don't know. You're going to have to talk to Dana on details over this. All I can really say is that, I committed to the fight. My management team committed to the fight. And we were just waiting for everything to be finalized.
All right. Well, have they told you maybe, okay, this is not the right fight for you, but there's a future for you, like go out, win a couple fights? Like, how did you leave things off with the Zuffa brass?
I really don't know, to be honest with you. I think, just the fact that they thought about signing me for this deal, and, they're obviously looking at me, so every fight's a must-win fight anyway, and I'm pretty sure, I just signed a 3-fight deal with ONE FC, so, it all depends on what happens after these next 3 fights. I plan on going out there and smashing people and putting 3 more fights together and 3 more wins, so, they might call, or ONE FC might, want to re-sign me. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We don't know. It's going to be about a year now until all 3 fights are up, so we'll see what happens.
Now, we've asked, obviously, Dana White about the situation. He essentially said he doesn't think that you have fought tough enough competition to deserve a shot back in Zuffa, Strikeforce, or the UFC. Do you agree with him? Do you think that when you look at your record, guys like Randy Smith, guys like, but Buentello's there, but you got Pujanowski, you've got Jason Riley, guys like that. Do you think...
I mean, it's hard to fight the guys they consider tough enough because they have all the tough enough guys. And if they don't have them, they're in Strikeforce. So,
right.
What are the guys out there for me to fight? We're trying to do it, and I think this ONE FC is going to be the platform for myself to showcase some of my skills again and put some good wins together.
How did this come about, this deal with ONE FC? Because Andre was supposed to fight Soa Palile, and then for whatever reason, that fight fell through, and then all of a sudden you stepped in almost a couple of days after the whole Cormier thing blew up. So how did this all come about?
It all came. Monty's the man. I had been in training camp. I took 2 weeks off my last fight in June, and just started training again just so we could be ready if we get a phone call. So I was already 4 weeks into training, and then the DC thing came up. So that sparked put a big fire under my butt, and I started really training really hard, and then it fell through. But 2 days later, the ONE FC thing came through, and so we were excited about that. Monty's the man. That's why he's the best manager out in the business, and I'm happy to have him in my corner.
Was it somewhat devastating? Like, did you need some time to get over the fact that you were so close to getting back into Zuffa, and then it was all taken away from you?
No, not really. I mean, I've been trying to get back now for a year, and it is what it is. I've had a couple fights since I've been trying to get back, and everything happens for a reason. I was fortunate that ONE FC stepped up and signed me. So
now you fought Andrei Arlovski 3 times before. You're fighting for a 4th time. Why should people be interested in this 4th fight? Like, we don't really see in combat sports a 4th fight that often. Why is this one worth our time?
I think everybody knows that him and I have no love lost for one another. He said some bad things. I said some bad things. And at the end of the day, I want to go out there and knock his ass out. And I think everybody knows that. So I think they're going to tune in for that reason.
It has been a while since you guys were fighting each other. Do you still hold a grudge against Andrei Arlovski? Is that beef still there? Is the fire still as strong as it was a few years ago when you were both in the UFC?
Yeah, I think anytime you fought somebody 3 times, and we were supposed to fight another time before we even fought the first time. So, I've trained to fight this guy 4 different times. Now, this being the 5th time, you train to fight somebody that many times, you kind of build up some sort of animosity for him.
Now,
I do anyway.
Why is there such animosity? Like, where's this beef coming from?
I think just the way the fights, played out. He caught me right after I got my broken arm. I think I prematurely tapped the first fight, and then I let everybody know that. And I told everybody the second fight I was going to knock his ass out, and I did. And then the third fight, I told him I was going to knock him out, and I did hurt him in the second round. Then he decided to run the fight. So, I made that clear and stuff. And, we've talked trash over the years, and I think, we've never really finished our beef, so maybe it'll be finished this time.
After your third fight, you both, kind of went your separate ways, but you both ended up in affliction, right? You fought Fedor Emelianenko, and he fought on the same card against Ben Rothwell. And this is when I first started out in MMA media, right? And I asked him, there were some rumors about you dating his ex-girlfriend, all this stuff. Do you remember all this? And I asked him a question, and he said something about you. I just want to play the clip, and I've never asked you this. But it seems sort of apropos at this time because you're about to fight him. I want to get your response. This is a clip, by the way, that this interview happened in July of 2008. It was Affliction, the first Affliction. I interviewed Andrei Arlovski for the late great MMArated.com. Here's a quick clip of what he had to say about Tim Sylvia, and then we'll get Tim's response. Here we go. Okay, I got to ask you this final question, though, because there was a lot of talk online. I'm sure you know about it. Tim Sylvia and your former ex-girlfriend. What was up with all that stuff?
You know what? I'm not interested, and it's his business. And if he did something with him, I just want to ask you, hey, Tim, how's taste my pee, okay?
All right.
About Tim Sylvia.
It's a little soap opera-y, right?
I don't care.
All right.
Well,
so in case you missed it, Andrei
Arlovski
Arlovski said in response to the question, Tim, how's taste my big PPP? He actually got really mad at me, and his manager got really mad at me for asking this question. They tried to get me kicked out of the press conference. But then, hey, a month later, they're selling T-shirts with the line on it. He's calling you this in other interviews. It kind of blew up into this huge thing online. What did you think when you heard that, Tim?
That's really the first time I've actually heard the actual words.
Okay.
Such a dumbass, he can't even speak it right. If anything ever happened between Patricia and I, I'd tell you guys right now, but nothing. We're just friends. If anything ever did happen and he asked me a response, I'd say it tastes like baby food.
Wow. All right. So 4 years later, we finally get the response. It tastes like baby food. Very nice. So you never actually...
That would be my answer if anything did happen, but nothing ever happened between her and I. We're just friends.
Very nice. But I'm just wondering, Tim, you were never compelled to find out where this whole thing was coming from? You never went online to check out the clip?
I never go online and check out all that bull crap. It's just... look. This is 4 years later, and you're bringing it up. Really?
Well, you're fighting him. You're about to fight him. This is the only time that it was relevant.
That's just TMZ shit. The stuff you see on the paparazzi stuff. It's just nothing against you. You're a reporter and you had to play it, but that's just irrelevant when it comes to fighting, I think.
So none of the beef has anything to do with all that stuff.
I don't believe so. No, I don't. I don't know why. He might be mad at you because he thinks something happened between her and I, but nothing has. So he's sorry mistaken, I guess.
Now, we were just actually showing a clip of your last fight. You beat Randy Smith, right? And that must have been a thrill for you because that was in your home state of Maine, which I believe it was actually your first time fighting in Maine. It wasn't the first MMA card in Maine, was it? But it was your first time fighting in Maine. That's accurate, right?
Yeah, it was the first. It was the first or second MMA card ever in Maine, but it was the first time I ever fought in Maine. Yeah, I was pretty stoked about it.
What was that like for you? You must have been treated like a king over there.
Yeah, it was. It was amazing. It was hard to hold back some tears and stuff just because the crowd was so overwhelming and so pro Tim Sylvia. And it was a blessing, and I was honored to fight in Maine.
How much did you weigh in that fight?
265.
Now,
Well, 266.
For this fight, is there a 265-pound weight limit?
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so what kind of shape are you in? That's a big question surrounding you, especially in the last few years. What kind of shape will you be in? Not just, I mean, obviously you'll weigh 265, but in terms of how you'll look in there, how's Tim Sylvia going to look when you fight on the 31st?
I'm going to look great. You know, the thing with me fighting 265 is I'm forced to be in the best shape that I can be in because I have to cut the weight and I have to be in shape to be that weight. You know, I can't be lazy and go in at 285.
I've seen a clip, and we're going to play this clip when we say goodbye to you. It's sort of a 90-second commercial from ONE FC, and you said that you think he has a weak chin, and you said some other things about him, but it was a nice little clip that ONE FC put together. Compare the Andrei Arlovski that you're getting set to fight on August 31st to the Andrei Arlovski who was once heavyweight champion in the UFC. Do you think he's the same guy, or do you think his skills have diminished?
I don't know if his skills have diminished. I think his chin has gotten weaker over the years, and I think his drive probably isn't the same. But be no mistake, this Arlovski is going to be one of the better ones we've seen in a long time because there's no love lost between him and I. So I think it's going to get him fired up and want to go out there and fight.
When are you going over to the Philippines?
We leave next Monday.
What's the time difference over there? Is it like 12, 13 hours or something like that?
It's 12 hours ahead of us here in Indiana, so 11 hours ahead of us in Iowa.
Now, do you think that's enough time? It's going to be less than a week to get acclimated to the time difference, or around a week?
I don't think it should be a problem. I've been over to Japan a few times. I wrestle over there and stuff, and I seem to feel fine. So, if it'd be my first time, flying overseas and trying to compete at something, it'd be a little different, but I think I'll be okay.
How has it been dealing with the ONE FC folks, kind of the new kid on the block in Asia?
I haven't really dealt with them much. That's my manager's job. My job is just to get in the gym and be in the best shape I can. I spoke to these guys on Twitter and email and stuff, and they all seem to be great. So.
And your next 3 fights, you said, those are exclusive with ONE FC?
Yes, they are.
They are. Okay, so how do you see this fight playing out? Obviously, fought 3 times before. Every fight saw something a little different, one would say. How do you expect this one to play out?
I'm going out there looking for the knockout. I'm going to push the pace and try to get in his face and make him fight me.
Will you
his last few fights, he's kind of been timid and not want to pull the trigger, and he did the same thing with me in the 3rd fight. So I think this time it's going to be a little different, and definitely with the rules. If he gets dropped, it ain't going to be jumping on him and trying to pound him out. It's going to be, stomp him in the head and kick him in the face.
Will you be looking to make a statement, considering everything that happened with Cormier, Strikeforce, Dana, all that? Is this a statement fight for Tim Sylvia? You've made a lot of statements in your career, but is this a fight where you have something to prove?
I think every time I go out there, I'm trying to make a statement. I'm trying to look good. I'm trying to put a knockout up on the board. So it's got nothing to do with anything that's happened in the past. I just want to go out there and look good for the fans and show everybody that helped me get this hard work put in that it paid off.
All right, Tim. Well, good luck to you. We look forward to it. It goes down August 31st in Manila, in the Philippines. It's ONE FC number 5. Andrei Arlovski versus Tim Sylvia, number 4. The 4th time that they'll be fighting. First 3 times were in the UFC, of course, now in ONE FC. We appreciate the time, Tim, and best of luck to you over there.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, there he is. Tim Sylvia joining us on the MMA Hour, stopping by to talk about his 4th fight against Andrei Arlovski. And I believe we have a commercial. We have a clip of that, right, Isaac? Let's play the clip. It's like a 90-second clip of the ONE FC event coming up on August 31st. And this one features Andrei Arlovski and Tim Sylvia. Here we go.
When I get in the cage, I definitely flip the switch. And it's all about going out there and destroying my opponent.
On August 31st, when I get in the cage, it's gonna be war because this is personal between me and Tim Sylvia.
Soccer kicks and knees to the head kind of fit my style. I'm really looking forward to these rules. I'm looking forward to dropping Arlovski and seeing that he's hurt and putting him in the face and knocking his fangs down his throat.
This start all this and I just have to shut his mouth. That's it, period.
I fought my opponent 3 times already. I took the belt from him, then I defended the belt against him, so I'm really looking forward to smashing Andrei Arlovski again.
It's gonna be revenge. August 31st is revenge day for me. That's it.
Everyone knows we both don't like each other, so it's gonna be a stand-up war, and I'll be swinging for the fences.
I want my back. I will do everything possible to do this.
I'm going to knock Andrei Arlovski out in this fight, no doubt in my mind. He's got a weak chin, and I'm going to expose it once again.
There you have it. ONE FC number 5. Clearly, these two guys don't like each other. There you have it. Andrei Arlovski, Tim Sylvia, number 4. Pretty good promo there. You could tell they actually really don't like each other. If they actually like each other and this is all fake, then they're doing a good job of selling it. The House Taste My Pee-Pee fight. Finally, we get to decide who is the better man. Well, actually, we won't really be able to decide it because if Arlovski wins, well, then the whole thing gets screwed up. Maybe we'll get to see them fight another time. Who knows?